I'm joined now by a military analyst, Sean Bell. Sean, give us a bit of clarity. What are you able to tell us about what's actually happening in the region?
Yeah, it's been an interesting day, Jane, hasn't it, with day 66 of the Iran war. Earlier on today, the Iranians issued a new map, which is their sort of control area for the Strait of Hormuz. First time we've seen that. Does it actually mean too much? Well, you know, near you, there's the yellow line, another line down here. But it's another sort of gesture of the fact that they're controlling the strait. Then, of course, the Iranians claimed they'd fired 2 missiles at an American destroyer. And actually, they claimed they'd hit it and that it turned back. Interestingly, you know, it was fired from around the Jask region here, so outside the area that they declared was their control. At the time, they said, well, it looked like the ship was intending to go through the Strait of Hormuz. Quite how you understand what the intent is of a naval commander, I'm not entirely...
It's quite a long way, isn't it? The strait's all up there at the top.
Exactly. It's somewhere away. But subsequently, Central Command said, US Central Command, nothing has been hit. The language was modified by the Iranians ever since. And of course, President Trump has just, as we've been outlining, has just outlined that 2 US-flagged ships have actually been escorted through the Strait of Hormuz. All that's part of restoring the transit of commercial shipping under President Trump's Project Freedom.
How is he anticipating doing this?
Yeah, that's the big question, unfortunately, Jane, this afternoon. I mean, US Central Command has called it project rather than operation, so it sounds like more a facilitation. The assets, they've already turned around. That the thing that caught my eye was 15,000 troops that were going to be involved in this. We're not seeing any moved into the region, but the USS Tripoli is one of those ships of which there always already a load of US Marine Corps in the region, and therefore maybe they will be used. But there's also some more assets they've identified, things like the aircraft carrier, the Abraham Lincoln, in the region. There's also a lot of fighter jets. Abraham Lincoln UU, fighter jets like the F-35 will be key, but also missile destroyers in the region as well. What are the key threats? I think one of them will be anti-ship missiles that have been provided by China. They can be incredibly dangerous, Mark III missiles. But that's the reason why you have the destroyers in the way, because they'd be able to effectively take those out. But also...
Do we know what missiles were fired today? Because Iran says they weren't fired.
No.
And hit the ships, they were sort of fired towards them.
I mean, we'd be speculating, but my suspicion is they will be drones, because up till now, missiles can be a lot more dangerous. I think we'd have had a lot more reports back. Drones that don't quite make it are a much easier threat. But it won't just be the missiles, it'll also be if you can see where they've been launched from, and that's why you'll have fighter jet cover providing for those. The other threats, of course, is for drones, as we've been saying. You can jam those, you can use small arms fire, and you can use fighter jets to take those out. But I think the big one is these fast patrol boats, which we've been hearing reports about. We've seen a couple here, but as this clip goes on, you'll see a lot more. It is worth pointing, some of these can actually be loaded with high explosives, but it is worth remembering that Somali pirates were using these sort of threats, but they're relatively easy to take out. If you put a few military guys with machine guns on the deck, it's relatively stable on a deck. It's not stable on these things at all. So they're relatively easy to take out for when you're in that place. And if you put half a dozen troops on each ship, multiplied by 2,000 ships, that's about 12,000. It's about the right numbers of troops that we've been talking about. Meanwhile, I think the big one will be timing. If we look at the main map of the Strait of Hormuz again, one of the challenges is we've got the minefield, which we think is still here, maybe no mines there. If you're going to get 2,000 ships out, they've all got to flow up past Iraq and down in one single convoy. If you put a small gap between them, and actually, as you've got there, it's a bit of a random section here, but a small gap between them of half a mile, they go about 12 knots each. It takes about a week of fully 24/7 operations to get them through. All the time, they're really close to Iran, and therefore they're incredibly vulnerable. I think it'll be really interesting that Iran doesn't have to worry about 1,999 of them. It just has to take out one, and it will be catastrophic. But really interesting to see how America plays this out.
Fascinating days ahead. Thanks very much, Sean.